Hey guys, welcome back. I am home from dinner and I am about to knock out two more of these R2-D2 utility arms. These are resin versions, copies of metal parts, and they are very convenient and they're cheap to make. Not as good as the metal ones, but good replacement if you're in a pinch. Now, these are made out of Smooth Cast 300, which is a urethane resin made by Smooth On. This stuff cures in about 5 minutes. It's very easy to work with. It's just a 1-to-1 ratio mix, easy to stir, mixes quickly, pours real easy. So here's the part. Now you'll notice there's a weird dark spot here. When I make these pieces, I embed a piece of metal coat hanger inside here, and I make a little loops on the ends so that it won't pull out. So if this were to break, like right here is a sort of a weak point. So if that were to break, it wouldn't come apart, and it would pretty much stay in place. It might crack there, you would never know, which is really good. One other little trick is to keep this hole open so you don't have to drill it out. I use a piece of, where did I have one here? Starbucks straw. So on the original mold, there's a hole through there. So I have little tabs that go into the inside of the mold, but they're cut in the middle, so they won't line up properly unless I put a straw in there. And when you put the straw in there, it's really nice because it leaves the hole wide open, makes it very easy to run your bolt through, which is super convenient. Some things about this mold: I seamed up the back right along the back half of the part, so when it closes, the actual seam line is right on this edge. So there's basically no seams anywhere on the front at all, none on the sides. Right here, there's one, and basically when it comes out of the mold, I can take my fingernail and just go like this, and it'll take off all the flashing, and the part comes out very nice. And this thing, you can see it, but you can't feel it. It's totally smooth. It's just part of the surface. The only place where there's a seam line is right here on the top. There's the sprue from when you pour the resin, and a tiny little seam there, and a little tiny bit of a seam right in here where I had to make the mold fit together. So otherwise the part comes out really nice. So I gotta make two more of them. I'm gonna get started now. And when I do this, if you're pouring molds, I always keep some extra molds around that I can, some 3PO parts, just stuff so that I can pour extra resin. So you can see here I've got a giant box full of random greeblies, all tons of 3PO parts, some R2 parts, just stuff I make when I have extra resin. So if you have molds, keep extra ones around. When you pour all your resin into whatever you're working on, take the rest of the resin, pour it in another mold, just make extra parts and have them. You never know, your friends might need them, you might need to, people want to buy them, and you don't have to make them in the future, you just have a bunch on hand so you can sell them. Makes it easy. Anyway, four, well there will be four, one's still in the mold, 4 white ones, 3 blue ones, baby blue, not official R2 blue apparently. So I'm going to demold this one in the morning. I'll try to get some video tomorrow first thing. I decided not to wait till morning because that's ridiculous. So we're going to demold this thing right now. We'll take a look. I took the rubber bands off already. So now I just need to break free a little bit of this leaked resin. And I always do this gently, even though the back half of this, there's not a lot holding it together except for the keys of the mold. I still go gentle because I don't want to accidentally tear anything. Let's see, almost there. So you'll see this, any of my other videos where I demold things, I'm always taking my time with it and trying to, it may look like I'm struggling, but this would come apart pretty easy. I'm kind of going strong, but not fast because I need to have some control. There it goes. So there's what it looks like. The back side of it, you can see how this is completely flush. Now I basically take this, loosen it all up around the edges of the mold. Now if you don't know this, I've said this before, I powder the molds before I put a part in. Every few, maybe like every 6 or 7, depending on the part, I will put some mold release in the silicone, and then I still powder the mold afterwards. The powder, some people think it's a mold release. It's not a mold release. It helps draw the resin into the nooks and crannies. It works with the surface tension, helps pull it into all the small spaces, and it also makes it easier to paint when you're done. So you can see here where I put that straw. When I pull this out, you can see there's some nubs inside the silicone. I don't know if I'm getting enough light in there or not. It's tricky to do. So I'll pull this out and we'll take a look. Alright, here's the part. Still warm. Put this down. You see in the mold here, that's the piece that goes into the straw. There's the inside of the mold, all emptied out, ready for the next one. Here's the piece. You see a little bit of flashing along the edge. This will come off with just a fingernail, especially when it's fresh. And it's basically no more flashing. Comes out really nice and smooth. And then you just trim off the screw. And use the cable cutters here, wire cutters I mean. And then a little cleanup with a razor. And this is another thing that it's easier to do when the part is still very fresh. My finger down here is definitely out of the way of the razor. If you're looking at this thinking, why is he cutting toward his finger? He's out of the way, it will be okay. And then a little extra on top. It's basically good to go. That part will be hidden from view anyway, because this is displayed from the front. There's my metal support, totally smooth to the touch. And now we have another R2 arm. So I'm gonna add it to the stack. Now I'm really going to bed for real. See you guys soon.